So I've always been ambitious. So even when I was like a teenager and used to think, oh, I want to work in oil and gas, my dream was that I wanted to run Shell.
Oh, really?
I come from also like a line of women who have done interesting things. Like my grandma was one of the first female doctors in Africa. My mom's a professor. So I just always wanted to do big things. And then the older I got, I also realized that I like.
Yanmo Omorogbe is COO and co-founder of Bamboo, an online brokerage enabling Africans to invest in US and global securities. She drives growth and operations at the platform, which raised $17.5 million to help Africans invest in the stock market.
People typically look down on fiction, and everyone is always like, oh, we should be reading self-help books and the tech industry, how to build books. But I found that fiction generally and reading generally has impacted my life and changed how I view things, because it helps you be more creative. It helps you. A lot of the ambitions and goals I have just come from reading broadly and thinking about a life far outside the life that we see, and helps you even think about, okay, this is like, I live in Nigeria, so sometimes you need some sort of external, this is not how life is supposed to be. What is so Nigerian about human beings is you see people like send a customer experience team the most awful messages, and when it's very stressful, I call. I'm like, hello, hi, I'm Yanmo from Bamboo, and the same person I've read, hello, hi, I'm like, like the energy, finish the smoke. And I've had like a user message customer experience saying to tell Yanmo to call me. I was like,
What happened?
no.
You know the person?
No. How? One thing that we did generally that has helped, myself grow, help the rest of the team grow, and we need to try and do even more, is involving people in your thinking. So I never ever give feedback. So no, I never give. I never do it myself instead. So even when so let's say you see something and you think it's wrong, there's a tendency sometimes to just do it yourself. I mean, you have to sometimes when there's no time.
Yeah.
But I try to, even if I do it myself, say this is what I'm doing, or explain what I was doing.
Borders shouldn't be barriers. Limitations shouldn't define potential. That's why we're evolving. Rainest and GigPay are now one. Empowering you to receive, save, and spend money anywhere in the world. Whether you're a freelancer, entrepreneur, startup, or a growing business, our platform is built to help you thrive locally and globally. Our new identity reflects on continued commitment to making finance seamless, connected, and borderless. One account, endless possibilities. Your money, your rules. We're making it easier than ever for your money to go wherever you need it. Building a future where Africans succeed in the global economy. Rainest, rebanking the next generation of African builders, thinkers, and doers.
So Yanmo, nice to have you here. So many people will define you as someone who is like very calm. I mean, a friend once said, it looks like Yanmo is that kind of person that's chilled. She was floating, no stress, right? I'm curious, right? Is that that's what we the world see, right? But I mean, how much of that is really true? And also, have you always been like this? What experiences have shaped you to become the person that you are, right? And I will extend beyond you just being calm, right? Where you are now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Am I calm? It depends on who you ask. I do think I'm genuinely calm in work situations by the time I'm expressing to like people I work with or on camera in
The
public,
public.
because I'm not going to like crash out in the public. So I like melt down privately. So if you ask
Oh,
Richmond if I'm calm, he'll probably be like, depends on the day. Or like to my friends. So I have safe spaces to crash out so that I can come outside and be like, hello, hi, lovely to meet you. Um, but yeah, I I don't know, I haven't always been like this in that in fact it's self-regulating is still something I'm trying to get better at. So like across all areas of my life. But when I was like younger, even when we are just starting Bamboo, I didn't, typically create safe space for myself to crash out. So I would just crash out publicly or like in work situations. And even generally in my life, I always find that I don't like it. I don't like how I feel afterwards. I don't like how I feel after I've had like a major meltdown in certain situations. And as a human being, I hate feeling regrets.
mm,
I hate doing stuff that I have to apologize for. So I just had to ask myself, like, how do we fix this? And so generally, that's
so
yeah.
you're matured now, and yeah, it's
Yeah, and
part
I
of
think
maturing.
it's all and it's parts. I think even like away from the self-regulation calm thing across my life, that's like a thing. When I don't like stuff in general, I try and fix it. So especially in my own life, like character traits or things
Mm,
that I hate how they make me feel. I'm like, okay, how do we solve this problem?
okay. So if you want to see you see an outburst, safe spaces,
Yeah.
right? But then again, it just shows that you're a human being, really. But just still going back to your you growing up, what ambitions did you have? Like, how did it shape? Because I know that when we were younger, some people wanted to be like doctor, lawyer, all of that, right? All some people didn't just have and whatever was handed onto them. But I think beyond career is just a rough sense of what that experience was like growing up, family wise. Whether that probably also shaped, I don't know.
Um. So it's interesting. The first thing I ever wanted to be in my life as a child was like a checkout girl, like a cashier.
Hmm?
Because when I go to supermarkets, I used to like, when they scan everything's beep, beep. And so my mom had like a business at the time that had receipts. So when you're like act, I don't know if people's kids still like act plays by themselves. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, we
they
didn't
still
have
do that.
internet to be honest. So, and so I used to act plays and write fake receipts. But growing up, I wanted to be an engineer. So that's why I studied.
After you grew out of the checkout, the
Yeah,
office.
check out. It wasn't feasible. Yeah, I wanted to be an engineer. So I wanted to be a chemical engineer. And simply because it was Nigeria, what was booming when you think about
Oh yeah, one of the
sectors
core.
was like oil and gas. So I've always been ambitious. So even when I was like a teenager and used to think, oh, I want to work in oil and gas, my dream was that I wanted to run Shell.
Oh
And
really?
yeah, so at the time I was like, I'm going
That's
to become
ambitious.
an engineer and I'm going to run Shell. And so I've always been ambitious. My family has always encouraged me to be ambitious. I've, come from a also like a line of women who have done interesting things. Like my grandma was one of the first female doctors in Africa. My
Hmm.
mom's a professor. So I've just always wanted to do big things. And then the older I got, I also realized that I liked nice things, and nice things cost money, and making money requires big dreams to achieve big things that pay big money.
Hmm. Nice. So you studied engineering, but somehow you found your way working in finance.
Yeah, so I did chemical engineering at uni and I hated it. I just knew I didn't want to be an engineer.
So you didn't want to run. Well, you could still run Shell, to be fair, not as a.
At that point, I even moved. I was so uninterested in engineering, totally uninterested. So even when I moved back to Nigeria, um, my parents were still hopeful. My dad was still trying to working in oil companies. Oh, do an interview here and there, and obviously I had to do it. To like, but I just kept thinking, God, I hope I find another job. And yeah, we landed.
Yeah. And I mean, by the way, talking about, I'm sure you know, but on YouTube, there's this, your 21st birthday. There's this
Oh,
video that is there. it had little views because nobody. But then that was when I'm like, wow, at that age, it was.
Why he's gonna hide that video? Because what's this is?
It was like I'm like, is this you? And then I waited till the part where your face. But it was well produced. I'm like, wow, and it's way back. But
Yeah,
you truly did like nice things because that was well done and yeah, and you
yeah.
just 21 like a landmark birthday, or you just felt like
Yeah, it was. I mean, I love my birthday. So like whatever birthday I have, my birthday is on the 1st of November, but it's like my birthday for the whole of November.
wow,
Like if you take me out to dinner in the month of November,
it's for
I'm
your
going to make
birthday.
them sing for me.
Yeah.
So I love my birthday. But yeah, I've always liked nice things. Like when I was little, I was obsessed with Victoria Beckham.
Oh,
I like, and so I remember buying her book, That Extra Half an Inch, when I was young, and thinking, wow, I can't wait to own a Birkin. And this is like, I didn't have sense. I didn't have any idea of what I would say, but I loved it because Victoria Beckham loved it. So I've always liked nice things. And then the older I got, I realized you need to make money.
don't have nice things. So fast forward, I know well, maybe because I've listened to many of your, you talk about your journey, but I know like the turning point was you having a conversation with Richmond, and then you went while in that dilemma of whether to leave your job to join a startup. You went to talk to your dad, and your dad was like, I mean, according to what you said in an interview, I mean, you take risks when you're young. So I'm curious, like, has he always, is that how parents will raise you, or it's just like maybe he saw that, oh, you're now grown up, and then you, I mean, it doesn't hurt. I'm curious because that's a response that, I mean, you may not get that a lot, right, from people. Like sometimes parents will be like, no, this one is going to pay you well, something like that.
Um, so I've never even thought about this. Yeah, I come from like a very, very, very supportive family. So my dad is extremely supportive. He's still conservative. So in the same way, when like, I finished doing engineering, he was hoping that I would find a job in engineering. But my dad is kind of that like if you say you're doing this,
It was,
he will fully support you. So I mean my sister is into arts, she owns an arts advisory
oh,
company, which is so out of the blue, like far left.
advisory, like you advise.
So she advises people who, want to buy art or like are interested
Oh,
in buying art. So she helps you figure out what art to
that's
buy
so
for your
bougie.
budget. And, if you have a big collection, helping you like curate that collection.
Nice.
Yeah. But my dad wanted her to be a lawyer. And so even till today, he'll probably still bring it up. But at the same time, he will show up at her shows. He's one that will be sending it to all his friends that my daughter is doing this thing. So
Oh,
my
I
dad is
see.
generally extremely supportive. So even when I was doing something like bamboo and it was clear, or well thinking about doing bamboo and it was clear that this was something I was interested in, it's very much like risk is for the young. And both my parents have always created a safe space, and I'm privileged to say that, privileged because I recognize
Yeah,
that there's luck involved in, being able to say that like what's the worst that could
that
have
can
happened.
happen. You just go back home or something like that.
Yeah.
I know you touched on just before I get on to like career. I know you touched on reading like the Victoria Beckham book, right? So what other? Well, I don't know if that's one of the books that changed you, but what are some like notable books that you've read that you felt like, oh, this actually changed the way I saw life or things?
I don't know because I read for leisure.
Oh, okay.
I pri I not even primarily. I only read like long form books for leisure,
That fiction,
recreate.
non-fiction.
I 99% of what I read is fiction,
Mhm.
and 85% of that is like probably like romance novel,
Oh, I
romance
see.
novels.
I see.
So a lot of that. But so I've always read though. Like there's no point in my life where I haven't been an avid reader. Like as soon as I could remember, my parents used to make like we started by my parents making us read. So like I remember after school we'd go to like the bookstore and you could pick like one quote and unquote not that serious book. So I would buy Jacqueline Wilson that year or Babysitter's Club. We used to read that. And then I had to read like one book my parents would pick and it will typically be like a classic. So like Oliver Twist in like
Oh,
the
okay.
original version or like, Jane Eyre, very, very serious. So I've always read and like people typically look down on fiction and everyone is always like, oh, we should be reading self-help books and the tech industry, how to build books. But I found that fiction generally and reading generally has impacted my life and changed how I view things because it helps you be more creative. It helps you a lot of the ambition and the goals I have just come from reading broadly and thinking about a life far outside the life that we see, and helps you even think about, okay, this is like, I live in Nigeria, so sometimes you need some sort of external, this is not how life is supposed to this is not how life looks like. So fiction has generally helped like my creativity, my like thought processes, reading, going after what you want in general. But I don't think there's like one book. I feel like I should say The Alchemist. That feels like
Oh yeah, that
the
was a very, because the writing style felt conversational, right? That's the Alchemist. 'Cause I'm trying to
yeah,
remember.
I liked The Alchemist.
Yeah, it was a different kind of. It's tilting towards fiction, but it has some self help vibe to it.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's
if I
fiction.
don't know if you've read it, or like it's very much like a lot. Yeah, it's like the Bible ish for, you know what I mean. It's very like a lot of like the messages end up being like kindness and like
Yeah,
love, and
stranger.
it's like, but yeah, I really like. So that was a book I liked. So I guess I should say The Alchemist because I enjoyed that. What else?
Yeah, no, no.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it
I
changed.
think it's fine. No, not really. So I think sometimes it's subtle because, like you said, well, fiction, a lot of like, as some people in tech like to attribute some new, like the metaverse, for example, we attribute to some people were inspired by some books,
Oh
like, yeah,
yeah,
all
the
this,
sci-fi.
because there are no boundaries with fiction. Like you can think endlessly. And then also like when you read it, like it helps your imagination, right?
Exactly.
Now imagine also when you sample or look at storytelling, just be like, this is not it's not giving. Or when books are adapted to become movies and just like, oh, this is not what I read. Of course, there's more bandwidth to stretch it in like a book as opposed to a movie where they want to condense,
Yeah, I
right?
get
So
that. I mean, I
so
loved Harry Potter, to be honest. Like, I was obsessed. Like, wake up in like to go and buy the book as it drops, kind of obsessed. It was
okay,
kind of
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's good. So I think my point is, yeah, I know typical response sometimes is all those self-help, but
hmm
fiction has its place, and it just does something different to you as a person. And if even for people that want even as little as storytelling, because there's the writer does for a writer to captivate your attention. I mean, they've done solid work to it. I'm moving on to Bamboo. I know that maybe I'm biased because I watched the 50th anniversary videos. It was a very good idea. I mean, I called Ugo. I was like, oh, this is good. This is something different from the typical. It was a relaxed conversation, and you guys brought back old folks. Even though he told me that he had to put in a lot of work to get, and of course some parts are probably cut off because yeah, right. But I'm looking at it. It's going to the 6th year now, and definitely like the business has evolved, right? I know back then, which I mean, I'll say that's 2019, right? 5 years. There were a number of players, and but then the mission was like similar, right? But then I'm curious, like within the company, I know it has grown to become a big company. How have things evolved? It's a broad question, and even your role, right? I Yeah, just to explain, no, Ugo explain to me, but just to give a context to how your role has evolved.
um, role wise, excuse me. Um, just generally, when Bamboo even first started, I mean, it was a very, very small team trying to do every single thing. So when it started, I think my role was like co-founder and director of growth, because I mean, that's the only thing that's important. Making sure there's a product and trying to grow it. But even then, we used to do everything. Everybody used to do everything. First day of Bamboo, all of us were answering
Yeah,
customer experience, customer support. Um, and now my role is sort of doing operations and growth, and like COO roles are always very fluid, but there's a lot. I mean, we've scaled, so there are a lot more people being able to
yeah.
do things. So it's less, I'm not, messaging customer support every day. There's also more delegation happening. I know even like personally as myself in trying to grow as a leader. I remember early days of Bamboo, I used to read every single customer support email and message customer support back like feedback about their tone and like grammar and like
Every
every I mean, so now they all still come to my inbox. So sometimes if I'm bored, I'm saying, but I
yeah.
don't like have anything to say because the team is great. But a lot of times, so even like every single newsletter we'd send out, I used to ask to like read it beforehand and like give feedback. And there are just a lot of being very involved in like every little bit of detail. Whereas now with like a wider team and also growing as, I think part of growing as a leader is having a team around you that you trust, and actually trusting them to do the work that you've,
Yeah.
gotten them to do. And so it took time to stop being in, I guess, micromanaging. Smith. What am I saying
Yeah.
in plain English?
15 lines.
Yeah, yeah, micromanaging. So that's been like a big evolution. And I think even like for the company, so now it's exciting when I hear stuff that's happening in Bamboo that I don't know what people are talking about. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, really?
Like team is doing, bits, or like I see a social media post the other day I really liked, and I messaged Ugo to be like, oh, this was really cool. But I remember that year where before the post has even gone out, I've seen it like 10 times, feedback, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did say that you're very, and just like you alluded to it, reading every that takes a lot of that's painstaking attention to detail. Um, So I know it was you, but how have you? Because I'm looking at you're not trying to transfer that to the team, right? Because before it might have felt like you were the buffer between uh the team and maybe some errors going out. But I'm just curious, how have you been able? Because what I'm hearing is that you've been able to build a team that can a system around it. How has that? And you can just pick one example because I know it's a very like how have you been able to systemize this, right? Because if someone wants to like replicate this, right? I know Ugo feels like the third person in this interview,
You should
but
have had him.
yeah, Ugo has also grown. Do you get as
Mhm.
a? But I'm just curious, like, what systems have you put in place, for example? And I know also, hiring more people also counts, but what systems have you put in place to ensure that you're less involved? Because I know it's not just turning a blind eye; it's also because
I think one thing that we did generally that has helped, myself grow, help the rest of the team grow, and we need to try and do even more is involving people in your thinking. So I never ever give feedback. So no, I never give. I never do it myself instead. So even when so let's say you see something and you think it's wrong, there's a tendency sometimes to just do it yourself.
Mm,
I mean, you have to sometimes when there's no time,
yeah,
and but I try to, even if I do it myself, say this is what I'm doing, or
explain.
explain what I was doing, or also ask questions. So I think I'm always trying to, in meetings and in generally is trying to actually ask a lot of like why. It gets really annoying. Like the team probably thinks it's so annoying because I'm just like why, and trying to like really understand how people are thinking, because it's was really trying to make sure like we're really aligned in how we think, and that there's no misalignment in what we're trying to do and what you're trying to put out. So it doesn't mean that you have to put out something the exact same way I would put it
Mm,
out with the exact same words, but what we try to scale how we think. And so we're trying to put out a social media post across the company. It is clear that it's important for things to be pretty. It's not just, it's important for things to be concise, because people, don't like, nobody
attention
wants,
span.
yeah, people's attention spans are low. Just trying to keep everyone on the same page. You're trying to make this decision. It's important to be data driven. So just trying to get people thinking in the way you want to think, I think, is the easiest way to scale capacity in the way you want.
Yeah, that's a good one. A follow up to with that, you spoke about people. Of course, you've also had to hire more people. And how has that evolved? Like at the beginning, like hiring people versus now, what are some mistakes made or lessons learned in hiring people, the right set of people?
Ooh. Um, hiring. Hiring is hard. It's still hard. It's always been hard. I think now, and it's something like, the reason I paused is it's something we're continuously
Yeah,
working on, and I'm still continuously trying to refine. But it's just trying to, earlier, I don't think in roles where we haven't hired. So I'll start by saying we've been lucky with hiring. So I don't have like nightmare stories of like I know some people where you hear them talk about their team and their colleagues. You're like, "Ugh, I don't have any
so
night."
nobody has boboed you yet.
So we've had situations where we haven't hired the right person.
Hmm.
Exactly. We haven't hired the right person for the role. So we've had to fix our process. That's what I
Yeah,
call hiring process. So something we try and do now is literally be intentional about what are you hiring this person to do, and how do you test it
Yeah,
during
before
the process, and trying to figure out ways to test it in during the process. So one thing, I've learned that people might not agree with, I pay like very little attention to like what's on your CV. Like, obviously, if I'm hiring for a specific role, then
there is a qualification or
you need
something.
a qualification. But generally, like, I don't care if you went to university or not. I don't like, because us too. I mean, everybody knows you can write. Everybody can write what they want on a CV. I mean, I saw a CV recently of someone that was 21 years old or like 22. They just finished university, and they're writing lady that achieved and I'm just like, okay, like maybe you're a part of the team. It doesn't really matter. So I try and index for what is the experience I'm looking for. So if I need you to be a good communicator, if that's
Yeah.
important to the role, we try and have that included in the application process. Maybe you have to write something, or maybe you need to send in. If I need you to do research, do like a short research thing as part of the process. I think earlier we indexed a lot on all those CV. I think I even had a role once. Was it where I asked people to send in a cover letter? That was not a waste.
It was not a waste.
That was a total waste.
Oh, why?
Unless it's a role where I need, in fact, waste. Because I was going to say, unless it's a role where I need you to be good at long form
Yeah.
writing, but even then, there are better ways to test if people are good at long form writing. Because now, if I could, like, being able to write a great cover letter in 2025 with ChatGPT is not, it tells me nothing about your skill set. So I also think we're also thinking a lot more about candidate experience now. Like,
Mhm.
we've always thought about it, but trying to make sure it's shorter. Like, so trying to do as few stages as possible, but still test all the things you want.
Or experience, like the experience
Yeah, the
one through
candidates for the the
through the
experience
recruitment
for the
process.
yeah.
You know
So
their work experience.
oh no, like they're like the candidates their
Yeah.
candidates experience. Like, are we getting back to people on time?
Mm-hmm.
Are we letting people know when get back to them when we say we're going to get back to them? Keeping them informed about what's going on, because I appreciate the fact that job hunting is a stressful thing, and like sometimes you have like your life going on, or you have like competing offers. So I also try and think about that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's competing offers. You waste time. Someone says, "Oh, they've already," or you take time. They've already been hired by someone else. Uh, it's a startup, and sense of urgency is always a thing. Like you're always trying to move fast, right? And also, like you have many competitors in the space if you see them as that. Right? How in the company, how have you been? Because I know one of the things in talking to people was like, oh, you are fixated on deadlines and ensuring that urgency. So,
Why did you do your research?
so you are the maybe you are, but the enforcer, right? In that sense. So, I mean, how have you? Are there systems you put in place to scale that beyond yourself? Because I imagine you don't want to have to be, you can't be fooling around, going around, following up with everybody, right? Maybe company wide systems.
Generally, I think different companies have different cultures. For us, personal responsibility is very high. It's very important for our company culture. We're a fully remote team of people in various places.
Fully,
Fully,
not hybrid.
no, we're fully remote. Of people in different places. So chasing people for work is not a thing anybody wants to be doing. So we also try to really emphasize a personal responsibility on both sides, because also for you it's annoying if you're the one delayed. I think generally I keep saying we've been lucky with hiring, but like I always I'm honest about that. We have a great team. We have people who, and maybe we test for it in the recruitment process, or
Yeah,
we
you do.
like let people know, but it's extremely important for people to care about the work they do. So I always talk about, I call it corporate adulting when I'm doing, but like you want to work here, you want to employ you. All of us acknowledging that nobody here is in bondage, nobody is forcing anybody to be here. So if you don't want to do this work, just be going. But seeing as we all have agreed that we want to do this work, then let us buy into the mission And a lot of people that work with us actually care about the work they do. So I'm the one that anyway, I have people, reaching out and say, oh, I think we should do this. I think we should, it's important. So that sense of urgency exists. It even, sometimes comes up in the flip side where like some things, we're having like a quarterly review recently, and I was saying, but this goal was over ambitious. Like it's even me saying this
Yeah,
feels
the one coming.
this feels over ambitious. So I think that's the key thing. Just making it clear that this is important and really carrying people along on the vision and the why and like why this is important. So with urgency, we also try not to create fake urgency. Like the urgency that we have is real.
Yeah, not
Like it's the importance of it is real. And if people understand that, then they're able to buy in.
looking at the space and other players. Uh, how have you thought about like the space and other players in terms of like other competitors? Because in the wealth tech space, just to make it, there are other players, and at a point for me, it just felt like there was almost everyone popping around, right? And how of course Bamboo has stayed true till now, definitely, right? So it's working, right? I mean, I've seen some reviews. So how have you looked at it? Some people say the market is wide, some people say, but I mean, what has been, it's like, oh, we need to move fast before they do, or what's been in thinking, looking at competition and just the space? How do you think about it? Does it give you, is that what gives you like sleepless nights or other things?
I mean, I run a startup, so plenty things give me sleepless nights. Plenty things give me sleepless nights. But growing generally is one of like the key things. Like, how do we grow this business? I don't think I think about growing in the context of competition or not, because how I think about competition is a little different. So
How do you think about competition?
well, I think everybody's like when I think about competition, I think everybody is your competitor, because what you're competing for is share of wallets.
Mm,
So it's not so much like, it's not like, yeah, you can think about it just in the wealth tech space, but honestly I think about it as share of wallets. And so how I think about it is that if you make X naira, I'm competing with every use of that X naira, including, you have to eat, you want to, you know like, hell, if you ask me, Zaza is my competitor. Like, all of us are competing, you know what I mean? It's share of wallets. So I don't think just in that vein, because especially in this market where the economy is hard.
yeah.
So urgency for us is growing, wanting to grow, wanting to, like, we've done 5 years. I'm always like, wow, but it's still, I mean, it's going to be cliche, but it's still very much day one, in that, there's a lot to do. And for me, that's where the urgency comes from, the amount of work there is to do. I spoke earlier about being ambitious and having like really big dreams. And, the team, our investors, our stakeholders have really, really big dreams and really big things they want. Hell, even our users have very, very big expectations. Every time we ask our users for things, feedback, long list of things they want, things that can help make them better. We have stuff that we need to do to keep our regulators happy.
Yeah.
We have a ton of stakeholders, and across the board, there's just a lot to do. So the urgency is not even in
No
context of, is it my
competitors.
competitor? It's just, there's quite literally so much to do, that, and there's no time. So yeah.
Yeah. I see that. You spoke about users, and users have requests and behaviors from the past 5 years. Any notable? Because I know people do things that surprise, and there are some interesting requests. So I'm just curious, from what are some noteworthy behaviors that you've seen from people, because they're supposed to invest on the platform, and
I mean, people are giving us their money,
yeah,
money that they worked hard for. So there's a certain level of responsibility that we have to them, and they also expect it. So
yeah,
the energy with which they also approach is very much, I'll give you my money. Like, my money should not miss. And we dealt with that more earlier when we first launched, with people building trust a lot. So we have had people coming to, we still have an office space even though we're fully remote, because some people work from the office. And we've had, we still even have users coming to the office who just want to see that, okay, this is an actual office. Um there are people working here. I mean, we've had, there's different things around how people treat, how people think about their money. Um, but I'm trying to think, what's like a notable user experience? I mean, we have users who, message customer experience. We've had like a user message customer experience saying to tell Yamo to call me. I was like,
What happened?
I don't even know.
You know the
Eh,
person?
No, no, no. How? Oh, no. But literally, I've had experiences like that.
Was
We've
there an issue
had
with the person? Or just
No, that was the message.
oh, okay.
That was the message. I've had someone come up to me in the supermarket to be like, I invested. I hope nothing is going to happen to your business. And I was, I'm very, very sorry. But I understand stuff like that, because in terms of building trust.
Yeah.
So we've had interesting user experiences. People are interesting, but they've given you their money, and that's definitely the energy
Yeah, they
that
gave you.
we've had. I just always ask, for people to please be polite to our customer, because some of the messages that people send our customer experience team, I'm just like, and what is so Nigerian about human beings is, you see people like send our customer experience team the most awful, awful messages, and when it's very stressful, I call. I'm like, hello, hi, I'm Yamo from Bamboo. And the same person I've read, hello, hi. I'm like, like the energy, bring
Yeah,
this, finish the smoke now. And I think it's such a Nigerian thing. But yeah, I mean, people have given us their money, so I'm always grateful for that. So
yeah,
I don't even.
we'll collect their money. But you're also in Ghana,
Yes, we're in
right?
Ghana and South Africa.
Any noteworthy, I mean, from them too, because I know the user behavior. Everybody wants to invest their money, but the energy can just be different. From Ghana, for example, because I know most of your references was in Nigeria.
Oh, our Ghanaian user base, they don't have problem. They're a much more, so that's even like something that we even struggle with and we're trying to figure out, is they're a much calmer user base. So even asking for feedback, because for us, our platform runs on feedback, like how we decide the next thing we're going to build and how we decide what we're going to do is mainly based on like the feedback
Yeah.
that we get from our users. So that's how, we're trying to, quote unquote, make build things people want. And in somewhere like Nigeria, when you ask for feedback, long laundry list, you need to do this, you need to fix this is bad. When we ask in Ghana, it's a lot more muted. It's more, everything is okay. Like it's like a much, um, much calmer audience, much calmer user behavior. But we're also starting to understand that user behavior more, among different things. And then we just launched in South Africa, so I don't even have any reference
Yeah, it's for
points.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Talking about South Africa and expanding, you also launched coins, which I mean, I didn't really see coming. I mean, it makes sense, nice, but then I'm just like, okay, the whole it looks like a remittance play. And was that was that out of customer user request too, or was it just looking at the space? Because it felt like it came at a time when there was a lot of, maybe it was coincidental, a lot of like remittance plays.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we've had in the works for a bit, just because, I mean, you need regulation. So we had to, like,
License.
you can't do it on a whim. So but for us, it's part of our larger goal to help Africans everywhere invest. So,
Oh, okay.
like, remittance is a key thing that's important, and those are rails that we already have and capacity that we've already built internally, and so it was easy for us to just turn it on. And but for us, there's like a wider play of trying to grow that business. When we see a lot of our users have jackpot. We now have like a wide number of Africans in the diaspora, and that number seems to continuously grow. And there's a question of, how do we serve them? How do we help their investment needs? What do they invest in? How do we help them invest and grow their wealth as well? So like we have a couple of more interesting things coming on coins. And so like phase one, help them move their money. Phase two is what do they move it to?
Interesting. Well, I mean, it seems very, there's no end to it in a sense. When you were, I recall you saying when you were, one of the reasons why you had a conversation with Richmond was because you were looking to get into the investment space, right? So now it's been 5 years after. Um, how was your, I mean, are you now like a superstar investor? How was your relationship with money also changed? Because you should be I mean,
Um, I am a safe investor.
no.
So I buy things I know. Google,
Oh,
Amazon,
really?
Facebook. My portfolio is not big at all. Google, Amazon, Facebook, Shopify, Apple, and that's it. Like I missed Nvidia, which is so embarrassing. But I got it for my dad, but I didn't get it for myself. Yeah. But yeah, I wasn't thinking.
But it wasn't really, I mean, it wasn't obvious until the last like 2 years
Yeah,
or so.
exactly. I totally missed it. But yeah, so now I'm a safe investor. Like I invest in things I know. I like big tech companies. Oh yeah, Microsoft. I didn't add that. Yeah, I love Microsoft. And like that's my whole portfolio. And I every time I have money, I spread it across
No
there.
new, no new lower.
Palantir. I bought Palantir recently, actually. Like right at the start of this year. No, I bought it. Remember there was that whole like dip. Yeah, so I bought Palantir recently. Um, but how has my investment philosophy changed? Actually, yes. When I first started investing, I I wasn't really. I was just putting money in things. What you know, I started with just investing in mutual funds. That was easy. Nothing was happening
Boring.
there. Yeah, and I was like, this is boring. This is not exciting. Like whatever. And then I started now investing everywhere. They call crypto, and all these different things. And one key thing I've learned is that the risk in life is the risk matches the reward. I say it all the time, the risk involved in anything is typically commensurate to the reward. So when someone come and tell me that there's something coin that someone did 1000x, I now know that means my money can also miss to
Yeah.
zero. And so it's just important, like understanding your temperaments and what kind of investor you are. I'm also bad at selling in general.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm the type of person that like holds on for ages. So it also means I can't be doing all these risky
Yeah.
up down things because I won't sell at the right time. So that's why my portfolio looks like what it looks like. Stable, long term. That's another thing. I'm also now a long term investor. Before, which is so silly for someone who is bad at selling, I always thought about myself as I wasn't thinking very, very long term. I was just like, oh, this sounds interesting now. And then I'll just like rush to buy it. And that used to stress me out. Um, and now I'm also good at allocating like money towards the things that I want to do. So just thinking, okay, this is what I want to do. So I think about my money more holistically. I think before I used to exist salary to salary. So when they pay, I'm thinking of my money in terms of that salary, and my salary has finished by the
Month.
and like even when I was working a job that had bonuses, I used to treat my bonus like, oh, a big salary, and so spend like there's no tomorrow for like the however long post, and then still finish again. But now I'm trying to think about my money more holistically. So if I get like a big sum of money now, I don't treat it like it's Christmas. I think about, okay, what else am I trying to do?
Yeah.
And just generally being more intentional. I think it's important. And advice I always give people is invest within know yourself. So invest in things you know. And if you're not the kind of person who has
Risk tolerance.
has the high risk tolerance, then honestly don't stress yourself. So someone came to just come and do FX the other day. A while ago, I couldn't because they said you have to be watching it minutes by minutes. I said,
Day trading.
are you a day trader?
No, I'm not. I don't have the energy. I think it's similar. I mean, long term, I have a few stocks that are down, right? And I'm just like, you know what? I'll wait. You will rise up again, surely,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I guess that's why it's good to not use money that you need. Of course, like sometimes I'm like, okay, should I sell? But I go and check and it's still down. I'm like, I can't sell. I need to. It needs to get back to where it is. Hopefully, it would, right? But yeah, it's just like you said, like just temperament and attention. If you're going to day trade, then you need that attention. And yeah, I think finally, how has your definition of success evolved, right? I mean, at one point you wanted to be doing ping, 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 check out, and now you're here, and it feels like just one straight path in a sense. But how has it evolved? Where is it at now?
Hmm. I guess when I was younger, I say younger, like a few years ago.
I mean, the 21 year
I
will be the,
see. I
that's
mean,
what,
like even like as of like maybe even 3, 4 years ago, or even when I was starting Bamboo, I think I would have described success as money, right? Like just like money was how you keep score. But now, hmm, I'm trying to think what's the proper answer to give
no, it's
that
not
doesn't.
proper. It's going to come from your heart, not.
um, there are things that important to me that I would love to be able to impact at scale. And so like being able to do something impactful at scale, so impact a lot of people would be really cool. So like when I think about Facebook or Meta, as it is now, what I think is so cool, I'm not like, oh, Mark Zuckerberg is so rich. What I think is so cool is that he's built something that last I checked, I think it was like 4 billion
Yeah,
monthly active users
yeah,
across Meta apps. That's crazy.
like half of the world.
When you consider that it's not open in China,
Yeah,
which is it's that's crazy, and that is so cool. And so for me, it's being able to do something impactful at scale would be great, and like depending on what verticals, but at the same time wanting to do that conflicts directly with also the fact that success to me also looks like doing what I feel like when I feel when I feel like doing what being able to
have control over your.
just live like the life. So maybe that's what you get to do after you've scaled. Because I think about something like Amazon, and what I think is so cool was when I read this stat that like 98 or 90 something percent of American households
Yeah,
are
use.
subscribed to Amazon Prime. And I was like, what the hell? But then at the same time, the life seems to be living now, where he's just relaxing, wakes up, some days he writes an op-ed.
Is it really relaxing?
I don't that one.
I mean, because the expectation is that you keep on building.
No, but he's resigned from Amazon.
Well, he's
Remember,
still the
so
chairman now.
and
He still has, there are certain calls that he'll still have to make. If he dips, they'll start.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Actually, he'll show up.
So
But yeah, for me now, I think that's what success means: being able to impact a lot of people. So scale is part of what my yeah. I've realized that scale is part of how I think about success now.
yeah, is that, I know there's Bamboo, but I mean, as a person, like, are there like, what that, does that include other channels outside of, because you have different expressions?
Yeah, so there's Bamboo, obviously, and like hopefully we're able to continue to scale that as a really important mission for us. Like, how do we get Africans everywhere investing? So the honest goal is that if you're African anywhere in the world, not even just African from emerging markets anywhere in the world, and you're investing, you're able to do it either using Bamboo or reels that are provided by Bamboo, etc. Apart from that, I'm also very interested in women's health and like really, really passionate about it. And it's something I think about. It's like, how do we impact that at scale? So that's probably my post think about. But like, yeah, women's health. It. generally, and like education for like young kids. So I recently started a foundation, but like it's it's like a private one. So like
What's a private foundation?
you know what I mean is that it's not like in the like there's nothing to Google if like you read this and you want
Yeah,
to find out
but
about it.
it's registered. Has it
But
started
yeah, I've
activities?
started. Yes, so I've. That's what I even mean. I haven't even registered it, but I've just started the activities.
Oh,
I
okay,
pay. I
cool. You
probably
started.
should go and register it, but
I mean, it depends on if it's your money, if other people's
no, it's
money.
my money.
So it's a
Yeah,
bit.
that's why. Yeah, that's why I meant my private one. But so I recently started a foundation, and so we have a couple of kids in GS3, and paying them their fees. But the idea is trying to see what democratizing opportunity looks like. So there are a lot of really smart people, and how do we get them thinking in the right way? So it's not just paying their fees, but I'm sending them books to read. All of them are fiction.
Wow.
So their creativity and thinking. Put them in a WhatsApp group and just send them articles like thinking about um what's going on. So at least just trying to see how we can also improve their thinking and improve how they think about what the opportunities are out there. Like, now. And so, yeah, I'll see how it goes. But that's something that's important to me, like young um, education for children, because I think that's something that scales, right? One person that grows
Yeah,
helps their family, and each one lifts one, as
this
they
is with
say.
consent from the parents and.
Oh no, it's like, yeah. So part of the parents are more who I will speak to,
Oh, okay.
because support, that's part of what's important. Like your parents supporting you, I think it's important. So I speak to their parents, I speak to their schools. So that's even how. So I speak to their headmaster,
Oh, really?
headmistress,
That's
their
how like
school.
how many are they now though?
Now it's just a few. So we started with like three. So
Okay,
yeah,
because the commitment seems like how involved you are. It's a lot. So I'm.
yeah. So now we started, but like the idea is to scale it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, no, we started with two. So there's two kids now, a boy and a girl. And so so that's part of it, testing what it needs to look like. And
Yeah,
then
to be able
the
to
new
scale.
school year is coming. So we'll end up, so we're doing every year.
Mm.
So a new school year is coming.
You're adding or you're.
Adding. So a new school year. So it's just three.
News is coming.
Yeah, a new school year is coming. So yeah, but yeah, it has been just three
Wow,
going into
okay.
SS1.
That's the part that.
Yeah, and you have to live in Edo State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm doing it for kids in Edo State.
Oh, okay. That part, yeah.
Mm.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Thank you so much. That's actually very, like you said, it's private. We won't see that online. But and then again, like you said, it's just you doing it, so it's very laudable. And I think beyond just paying for school fees, actually trying to see how you can shape their minds. And I guess the plan is to keep on. Is there like a
Yes, I mean, it's to keep going. So like,
till
can we help them? Can we, have kids that get scholarships to go to university
yeah?
abroad? How do we get people thinking
Wow,
about what they're
that's
interested in? I mean, yeah, it's a broader goal. Like democratizing opportunity is something that I think about a lot, because there's so many smart people. So many people who just don't know, or don't even have, or they might know, or they don't have the
yeah.
access. And I continuously talk about how lucky I am, and like blessed, and it's how do we get more people,
Thank you. Thank you
yeah.
so much. Thank you so much for your time. This has been very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. what is so Nigerian about human beings is you see people like send a customer experience team the most awful messages, and when it's very stressful, I call. I'm like, hello, hi, I'm Yamo from Bamboo. And the same person I've read, hello, hi. I'm like, like the energy,
The energy is
finish the smoke now.